Pop stardom doesn't usually start with gospel hymns, but Katy Perry's story is not typical. Back in 2001, she was Katie Hudson, a preacher's kid with a Christian rock album that sold fewer copies than a high school bake sale. The label folded, the record disappeared, and most careers would have ended right there. But Katy treated it like a rough draft. The wilderness years were brutal, bounced from label to label, recording tracks that never saw daylight, rock collabs, false starts, and endless no's. Reinvention became her lifeline. By 2007, she rebranded herself as Katy Perry. Louder, cheekier, and impossible to ignore. Then 2008 hit. One of the Boys dropped, and I Kissed a Girl detonated like a fire alarm. 7 weeks at number 1, 5 million copies sold, and a chorus so provocative it hijacked the national conversation. Critics debated exploitation versus liberation. Parents clutched pearls, but the verdict was simple: Katy Perry was here to stay. Hot and Cold followed, another sticky top 5 hit. Katy wasn't Beyoncé with polish or Gaga with avant-garde theater. She was campy, candy-coated, and relatable. Her debut wasn't a masterpiece, but announced her loud and clear. The failed gospel singer had officially arrived. And if One of the Boys was the spark, the next album was the explosion. Every pop era has its defining album. For the early 2010s, it wasn't Gaga's Born This Way or Rihanna's Loud, it was Teenage Dream. Released in 2010, it wasn't just an album, it was a glitter cannon fired at the charts. On the surface, bubblegum escapism. Underneath, a precision-engineered hit factory. Capitol Records lined up the best writers, producers, and marketing muscle, and the results were staggering. Teenage Dream became only the second album in Billboard history after Michael Jackson's Bad to spawn 5 number 1 singles: California Girls, Teenage Dream, Firework, E.T., and Last Friday Night. A sixth, the one that got away, nearly made it too. And these weren't filler hits. California Girls owned the summer. Firework became an empowerment anthem so ingrained it might as well replace the national anthem on July 4th. E.T. gave us her futuristic edge. Last Friday Night turned teen rebellion into a pre-meme meme. At her peak, Katy wasn't just charting, she was running a hit conveyor belt. The California Dreams tour grossed nearly $60 million, while Pepsi, CoverGirl, and even fragrances named Purr and Meow turned her into a pop empire. Critics rolled their eyes at the plastic pop sheen, but who cared? Katy Perry owned the 2010s. Bright, goofy, larger than life. She gave the world permission to indulge in pure, shameless pop. But once you've scaled Everest, the only way forward is down. Katy's descent began quietly. By 2013, Katy had conquered the pop universe. Prism was the test. Could she do it again? The numbers said yes. Lead single Roar blasted to number 1, another empowerment anthem tailor-made for stadiums. Dark Horse went edgier, blending trap pop with Juicy J, and spent 4 weeks at number 1. The album sold millions worldwide. On paper, Katy was still a juggernaut. But cracks showed. Roar was essentially Firework 2.0, only blander. Dark Horse had edge, but its Egyptian-themed video sparked backlash. The other singles underwhelmed. Unconditionally, respectable but forgettable. Birthday and This Is How We Do, flopping. Katy was still hitting, but the magic wasn't automatic. Oversaturation was creeping in. Pepsi tie-ins, endless merch, candy-colored videos stuffed with product placement. What once felt playful now looked calculated. And then came the 2015 Super Bowl. Her halftime show was massive, complete with flying stars and dancing sharks. But the headline wasn't her vocals, it was Left Shark. A meme bigger than the music. Katy Perry, the hitmaker, was becoming Katy Perry, the spectacle. Prism wasn't a flop, But compared to Teenage Dream, it felt like a formula. The candy shell had cracks, and those cracks would split wide open with 2017's Witness was pitched as a reinvention, purposeful pop. Instead, it was a mess. Chained to the Rhythm debuted strong at number 4, aiming for social commentary. But the lyrics were vague and the beat was safe. At a time when Beyoncé was dropping Lemonade and Kendrick was reshaping hip-hop, Katy's Purpose sounded like a bumper sticker. Then the disaster struck. Bon Appetit, her Migos collab, came with a grotesque video of Katy being kneaded and boiled. Camp? Maybe. Successful? No. Swish Swish, her Taylor Swift diss track, was weaker still, and Taylor stole her thunder by re-releasing her catalog on streaming services the very week Witness dropped. The rollout spiraled into weirdness. A 96-hour live stream of Katy eating, crying in therapy, and chatting with celebrities felt less intimate and more desperate. Carpool Karaoke backfired. Her awkward jokes about Taylor Swift went viral for all the wrong reasons. The numbers told the story. Witness debuted at number 1, but sold less than half of Prism's opening week. Singles fizzled outside of the top 10. Even her $120 million grossing tour needed discounts to fill seats. Katy Perry, once rivaling Michael Jackson's records, was suddenly a joke. And when the crash came, she pivoted from pop's driver's seat to its commentary box. After Witness, Katy didn't roar back. She sidestepped into television, joining American Idol in 2018 for $25 million a season. It gave her primetime exposure and steady cash, but it also screamed career plateau. Idol once minted stars. By 2010s, it was nostalgia TV. Katy became known less for hits and more for awkward banter. A controversial moment, kissing a contestant without consent, drew backlash and highlighted how out of touch she looked. What was once playful now read as cringy. Meanwhile, her music sputtered. 2019's Never Really Over was hailed as her best single in years, but it peaked at number 15 and faded fast. Next to Ariana Grande, Dua Lipa, and Billie Eilish, Katy's Neon Camp felt dated. Her image worsened. The live stream, the memes, the forced quirkiness all amplified the narrative that she was trying way too hard. By now, her older hits dominated streaming while newer singles barely even registered. The cruel pop truth: once the narrative shifts from superstar to sideshow, everything you do looks desperate. Katy hadn't vanished, but she wasn't steering culture anymore. Which brings us to her latest act, nostalgia mode. By 2020, Katy Perry wasn't chasing chart dominance. She was chasing stability. Her 5th album, Smile, dropped mid-pandemic, with Perry heavily pregnant. Promotion was impossible. The songs, Daisies, Harley's in Hawaii, Smile, were fine, but fine doesn't break through. The album debuted at number 5, her weakest opening, and it slid off the charts fast. But Katy didn't seem to care. Motherhood shifted her focus, and instead of scrambling for hits, she leaned into legacy. Enter Play, her Las Vegas residency, launched in 2021. Giant props, cartoonish sets, and all the hits wrapped in a candy spectacle. Fans loved it, critics called it kitschy fun, and it extended through 2023. But Vegas signaled a new phase. Katy wasn't competing with Billie or Doja, she was curating nostalgia. Like Britney before her, streaming confirmed it. Teenage Dream, California Girls, Fireworks still racked up millions while her new songs quietly faded. Not every artist needs an eternal dominance. Some cash in on legacy. But in pop's brutal calculus, her shift felt like surrender. Within a decade, Katy had gone from rewriting record books to playing Vegas like a theme park version of herself. Katy Perry is both a triumph and a warning. At her peak, she tied Michael Jackson's records, headlined a historic Super Bowl, and genuinely soundtracked a decade. But pop is a treadmill. Stop moving and it throws you off. Her neon camp defined the early 2010s, but when culture shifted towards authenticity and reinvention, she stumbled. Prism showed fatigue, Witness collapsed, and Smile confirmed she was no longer chasing the crown. By Vegas, she wasn't leading the future, she was celebrating the past. But that doesn't erase her impact. Firework will outlive TikTok trends. California Girls is frozen in the DNA of the summer of 2010. Her catalog still pulls streams that newcomers would envy. But the Katy Perry story proves how fragile dominance is. You can tie legends, you can flood the radio, you can live at number one for years, and still within a decade, fade away as if you never existed. She's not a failure, she's a pop's cautionary tale. Reinvention is mandatory and nostalgia is the consolation prize. The firework burned dazzlingly bright, but in pop, brightness isn't the same as longevity. Katy Perry reminds us dominance is fragile. The artists who endure aren't the ones who burn brightest. They're the ones who keep finding new sparks.